Parshas Balak, Tavshin Pei Beis. As some of you may realize, we're actually not saying the shir from our regular location, although many people here probably wish it was the regular location. Tonight is actually an appreciation night for the volunteers of Bikur Cholim, and nothing that they give these volunteers would actually be enough to show the appreciation for these people that 24/7, 365 days a year go about the business of Bikur Cholim. And it's something that, a small token of appreciation, a beautiful barbecue here tonight, poolside, some other amenities, and I don't know if you can see much what's going on behind me. We tried to keep that out of the picture, but of course we didn't want to miss the shir. Baruch Hashem, 12 and a half, almost 12 and 3/4 years straight, every single Thursday night. So the Bikur Cholim shir travels with Bikur Cholim. And this Shabbos, actually, besides from being Parshas Balak and the fascinating episode and story that went, dialogue between Balak and Bilam and all of that, but there's something else that's going on this Shabbos. And this Shabbos is actually Shiva'asar B'Tammuz. And Shiva'asar B'Tammuz, of course, we're not going to fast this Shabbos, because on Shabbos we don't fast. But the Bein Hametzarim begin this Shabbos, and really it's kedai for every single one of us to begin thinking about the Chorban Beis Hamikdash. And we're going to spend this week's shir, the shir discussing a little bit about the Bein Hametzarim, Shiva'asar B'Tammuz. And we want to think about the Chorban, its ramifications, and why it is. You ever wonder why it is that with all the Torah being learned today, possibly the most Torah being learned in the history of the world, the most people learning Torah, Ba'asmada, could be in the history of the entire world, and with all the tremendous chesed, possibly once again the most chesed ever being done in the history of Klal Yisrael, yet you have to understand we're still in Galus. You ever wonder why is that so? We wait, Mashiach is going to come, and we'll have all this Torah and all this chesed, and yet Mashiach is not here. And what a golus it really is. It's a very, very bitter golus, one that we know that if you know the calendar, we're not so far from 2,000 years in golus. And it's a 2,000 years of a bitter gullus with trials, tribulations, torture, the most holocausts, inquisitions, so much going on in this gullus. And once again, we have to find out, we have to understand, in order to get out of this gullus, we have to understand why we are actually here. Why are we still in gullus? And of course, what can we do about it? So the Gemara, Masechta Yuma, Daf Tes Amud Beis, tells us something that many of you know, and if you don't know, it's kedai to know the difference between the Chorban Bayis Rishon and the Chorban Bayis Sheni. The Chorban Bayis Rishon came about, we know the Beis Hamikdash, the first Beis Hamikdash was Nechrav, because of three Averos Chamuros, because of Gilei Arayos, Avodah Zarah, Gilei Arayos, and Shvichas Damim. Three serious Averos that they did. However, Bayis Sheni, the Golus that we're in right now, why was the Bayis Nechrav? Why don't we have a Beis Hamikdash? Because the answer the Gemara tells us is because of Sinas Chinam. And almost unbelievably, if you think about, you try to weigh the Chorban Bayis Rishon and the Chorban Bayis Sheni, after having done such Averos by Bayis Rishon, the Golus was only 70 years. And not only that, they were told that you're going to go into Golus for 70 years. We know very famously there was a problem trying to figure out the cheshbon, right? But it was a cheshbon of 70 years long. That was the entire Golus. And the second Beis Hamikdash, where it only came about because of a lav in the Torah, the love of sinas chinam, we're still in Golus after almost 2,000 years. And like we said, so many tears, so many troubles, and we're suffering in Golus. Why is that? 70 years for the Averes Chamurais that went on during Bayis Rishon, and almost 2,000 years for the love of Sinas Chinam. So Nesivos Shalom tells us, Nesivos Shalom brings from the Torah's Avos, who brings from the Saba Kadisha Mislonim, and he says like this, and it's kedai for every single one of us, every person, to learn and to know this lesson. Chazal tell us in the Gemara, the Sechta Rosh Hashanah, Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph, and that there seems to be a bit of a contradiction in Psukim. On one hand, Psukim in the Torah tell us, Mi kashem Elokeinu b'chol kareinu elav, that everybody, you want to have a dialogue with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you want to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you want to ask Hashem for something, b'chol kareinu elav. Whenever you want, open your mouth. Daven, call out to Hashem. That's what one pasuk tells us. And then we know there's another pasuk in the Navi in Yeshaya. We learn it on every Tainas Tzibur. The pasuk tells us, Dirshu Hashem bihi motzai. What does that mean? Seek out Hashem when Hashem is, quote, more, when Hashem is available. So 1 second, is HaKadosh Baruch Hu available whenever you call out to Him? Or is HaKadosh Baruch Hu only available when He's close to us, and that's when we can take the opportunity? So the Gemara answers this seeming contradiction. The Gemara says the difference is that one refers to a yachid, a person who is a single individual person. To that person, to a single person, it's Dirshu Hashem bihi motzai. That when Hashem is more available, and we say during Aseret Yimei Tshuva, during the times, and by the way, when you say Aseret Yimei Tshuva, it's not so far away, we're really getting there. So Aseret Yimei Tshuva, that time, Hashem is, quote, more available. That's when you seek out Hashem. But the other pasuk of B'chol Kareinu Elav, that is talking about when it's a tzibur. When we daven with a minyan, when we're a tzibur, when we're together, whenever you call out to Hashem, no matter when it is, Hashem is listening. So once again, a yochid reaches Hashem b'imotzai, and a tzibur reaches Hashem when B'chol Kareinu Elav, at any time. So Chazal tell us, and the Nesivos Shalom says, that by Churban Bayis Rishon, Klal Yisrael was told that the Golus would be only 70 years. Hashem communicated that message to Klal Yisrael. And after 70 years, they go back to Eretz Yisrael. But by Churban Bayis Sheni, none of us know when this Golus is going to end. We weren't even told. We have no idea when the Golus is going to end, and we have no idea why. Zok the Nesivos Shalom. And this is an unbelievable thing to hear. Nesivos Shalom says that despite the serious averos that they did by Bayis Rishon, despite all those things, they were a tzibur, and they were ba'achdus. They were all together, they were together as one, and they were a tzibur. And because they were a tzibur, they were able to be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to them and told us when the Golus was going to be over. It's B'chol Koreinu Elav. Even though they did the serious Averas, the Shechina was still with them because they were Ba'achdus, because they didn't fight. There was no internal fighting. There was no internal arguments. They were all together. They were B'tzibur. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't leave them alone. The tzibur, the Shechina, was with them, and they were Zoicha to a Geula after 70 years. However, by Bayis Sheni, it was different. By Bayis Sheni, there was Sinas Chinam. Klal Yisrael was a bunch of individuals. And once you're a bunch of individuals, and everybody has their own agenda, we don't look out for each other, We fight with each other. We don't look at ourselves, Klal Yisrael, as one group. Once we're individuals, then the Shechina went away, and it's only Dirshu Hashem B'Motzai. There is no communication between the Shechina and Klal Yisrael, and we were not informed when this Golus would end. We were not informed how long the Golus would be, because we were individuals and we could only reach Hashem at special times. The Kabrina Rav, Zechusi Yogan Aleinu, says in next week's Parsha, and actually it's this week's Parsha to those of you who are watching in Eretz Yisrael, on the Pasuk by the Benois Tzlavchad, the Benois Tzlavchad asked, Lama Yigora Shem Avinu Mi Mishpachtoi. And the Nesivos Shalom says that we a drush on these words, that when does HaKadosh Baruch Hu take, when is the Shem Avinu taken away? When it's Mi Mishpachtoi. When we are not one family, when we're one family, we have Shem Avinu. Lama Gora Shem Avinu Mi Mishpachtoi. It's taken away. When we're not fighting with each other, then we have Hashem as our Avinu. But when we are fighting with each other, unfortunately, we are not considered Bonim. Then Nigora Shem Avinu, the title of Avinu of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, unfortunately goes away from us. We lose that special relationship. And it is for that reason, says the Nesivos Shalom, that the one thing that the Yetzer Hara wants, and he fights the most in every generation, is that we should not be ba'achdus. That every group of people should think, I'm better than you, I'm better than the other group, this is for me, not for you. And I don't have to explain, we all know what machloikis looks like. That is dafka what the Yetzer Hara wants. The Yetzer Hara does not want that we should be ba'achdus. We should have a shame of a family. We should have a shame of HaKadosh Baruch Hu being our Avinu, and then he is merachim us, kirachim of al banim. That the Yetzer Hara doesn't want, because then Hashem communicates us with us at every time, and then we might understand what it will take to get us out of Golus. We'll understand that we have to be ba'achdus, and then once we can communicate and we can dive in to HaKadosh Baruch Hu at any time, the power of Klal Yisrael is really so much that nothing can stand in our way. So really, I just want to end off by saying that we have to understand that we don't want to help the Yetzer Hara in this regard. We have to understand that we're helping the Yetzer Hara too much by promoting and ever being part of a machloikis. We need to know that we're propagating and we are continuing and we're building the gullus. We're doing exactly what the Yetzer Hara wants. And it could be, and it must be for sure, that this is the year, finally, when we come to the Bein Hametzarim and we think about the Chorban Beis HaMikdash and what we could be, where we could be as Klal Yisrael if we were in Yerushalayim, if we were in Eretz Yisrael, if we were all together, the tikkun that we would bring to the world, finally, tsar would go away, pain would go away, troubles would go away. If we would understand what's at stake, we would just do what it takes, that every person to reflect and look in their own life, in their own family, in their own community. Like we always say, make that phone call that person, make shalom, stop arguing, end a fight or an argument or a machloikis that's been going on for years. Whatever you think you were justified, it's never justified to be the cause of Klal Yisrael spending another year getting closer to 2,000 years in Gullus. Let's keep that in mind. Let's learn the lesson of Shavasa B'Tammuz. Let's not give the Bilams and Balaks of the world the power over Klal Yisrael. Let us show what Klal Yisrael could do. Matoivoi Alecha Yaakov, where we're one Klal Yisrael. We look out for each other. We care about each other. And with that, in that tzchus, we'll be zoicha to the Binyan Beis HaMikdash this year. B'mheira b'yameinu amen.